January 25th, 2021. And we're going off the rails on a crazy train here tonight on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Raj Giri. Now, Matt Morgan is coming along, but as a special guest, we have Issa, NYC Demon Diva, joining us tonight, fresh off our watch-along that we did with SmackDown for SmackDown on Stereo this past Friday. Thanks, everyone, coming out for that. We should have Matt on here in a second. I see him queuing up right now. So much to talk about tonight. Monday Night Raw. We got to see more build-up with Goldberg and Drew McIntyre. We got confirmation Edge is going to be in the Royal Rumble. We've got a new number one contender for the United States title, Alexa Bliss, on the verge of victory, getting that Raw Women's Championship before Randy Orton returns to cost her the title. Issa, what did you think of the show tonight?
It didn't feel like a go-home show for a Royal Rumble, in my opinion. I liked the Edge promo. It was nice to see a good promo on Raw because that doesn't happen often. But outside of that, it was not what you expect for a go-home show for the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying that for a while. They don't seem to put much effort anymore into these go-home shows. I mean, back in years before, they would have like those Royal Rumble videos where they show like the fastest eliminations and the different stats and things like that. And I agree with you. This did not feel like a go-home show for the Royal Rumble. The only thing that felt big was Edge announcing that he was going to come back, and he just killed it. It was an awesome promo. I thought that was one of the best things I've seen on Raw in a while.
Wow. Well, that's saying something. So we opened tonight, and I saw Matt queuing, but he's having an issue with his video. I just texted him asking him to reload, so it should be here momentarily. We opened tonight with Goldberg and Drew McIntyre facing off, and of course the Miz and Morrison ringside taunting them on, and both of them getting dropped. Drew being back post-COVID, what did you think of his promo, Issa, and the way that they handled the COVID situation?
I think that's actually one of the few things that Drew has looked like a real star is the way they have let him use this platform to kind of raise awareness for it. Made you wonder, are they going to have him lose? He dedicated that match to people suffering from COVID. It was such a babyface move, so it makes you wonder. I'm not up for this match, but at the same time, I love that they kept the Goldberg part short and simple and to the point. I feel like that's how you should handle anything with Goldberg, short, and don't let him talk minimum, and they did that.
Yeah, I thought that was a good opening segment. I thought Goldberg and Drew just making them look like two monsters who were about to square off. So yeah, I thought it was a fine segment.
It's good, and I think they're building this as best they can. I don't think there's a lot of heat between Goldberg and Drew. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the outcome of this match is at the Rumble on Sunday. We had Charlotte Flair versus Shayna Basler, and
I mean, real quick, since we were talking about it, who do you guys think wins? I think it's obvious that Drew wins, right?
I will hope, but I wouldn't put it past them. I'm sorry, they gave even Brock Lesnar to Goldberg. Okay, so at that point, I don't put it past them. I have no expectations. I don't even want to think about it. But I think Drew McIntyre should win.
What about you, Glenn?
No, I think Drew. Hold on one second here. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right. Real quick, a couple of super chats. And Natalie saying, "Hey guys, hope you're all doing good. I know this probably won't happen, but thoughts on if Trish Stratus won the Royal Rumble to face Sasha Banks at WrestleMania? Have a good night and take care." Issa, I'll throw it to you first. What do you think? Trish Stratus coming back to win the Royal Rumble and face Sasha Banks.
Absolutely love Trish Stratus, but right now we're not building any of the newer stars. You have Bianca Belair. There's so many people in this roster. NXT, you have Rhea Ripley. There's just so many women. We need to build new stars, and that's not just with the male division, also with the female division. So give it to somebody newer.
Yeah, no, I agree. Matt Morgan, good to see you.
What's up, you guys?
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt, what are your thoughts on Natalie's super chat of Trish Stratus winning the Royal Rumble and facing Sasha Banks at WrestleMania?
Similar, but that's a tough one. The only way I'd be cool with that is if it was to get over not Sasha, not Bailey, not one of the 4 horsewomen, because they don't need it, in my opinion. But if it was to get over, let's say, one of the newer, let's say, NXT talents from the women's roster, I'd be for that.
Yeah.
But that's the only way. But like somebody like Sasha doesn't need it. Charlotte doesn't need it. Bailey doesn't need it. They're already super over as it is. But one of the newer talents, like let's say Bianca, let's use her as the example. That would be really good for her. It would automatically shoot her up past anything that Charlotte and so on and so forth, she beating them would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Trish versus Sasha would have been a white hot match 2 years ago.
3 years ago. Yeah.
Right.
Justin Lopez saying this is the coldest build I've ever seen for Royal Rumble. It's my favorite pay-per-view, and I'm not hyped at all for it.
Dude, get in line. Get in line. That's the whole friggin' show. I could say that for just about anything. Sans Roman storyline, and even that they're starting to find a way to make boring.
And now they're going to reveal who the number 30th entrant is on that stage. Why would you do that? Why?
Yeah, they're gonna reveal number 1 and 2 for the women's Royal Rumble, and then number 30 for the men's on backstage on Saturday. They've done it before. It does take some of the excitement out of it when it's the last one, but yeah. I mean, back in the day, you could see the matches they were starting to build from WrestleMania, like basically starting in the fall. And I guess that's one positive is it just feels completely wide open because they've done like no planning, it feels like, for the big matches at WrestleMania, unless it's just people returning.
Yeah.
Jody Shauna Jenkins saying, random thoughts from tonight. Drew looked like he lost some size. This show sucked. Best part was Orton and Bliss.
Yeah. You know, it occurred to me, this isn't a wrestling podcast where we cover wrestling. This is a support group where we talk to people who love wrestling and are just really bummed out with how wrestling is lately.
Yes, mainly.
Essentially what we do. But no, there were some good moments tonight. I mean, this pissed me off because when they announced Charlotte Flair versus Shayna Basler, my first thought was Nia Jax is going to interfere and they're not going to give us this match. And it barely got going before that happened. And then, of course, Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose came out, Lacey Evans came out, and then it turned into a 6-woman tag match, 3-on-3, Charlotte Flair, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke versus Lacey, Nia, and Shayna. And the win won by countout with Shayna not getting back in the ring fast enough with the baby faces winning tonight. Matt, what did you think as far as this being an effective use of the women's division and keeping some of these storylines going?
Well, Glenn, you know, for forever how long, you know, you're always talking about how you wish that they had more time for more women and go deeper into the women's roster and get more faces on the show. They did it here. Like it or not, as far as the finish goes, but they technically did that here.
And then they restarted it. So we had true 50-50 booking. The baby faces and the heels both won this match.
They did, all in one episode. They did it, yes.
Yeah, they were clearly killing time tonight because you had Charlotte and Shayna wrestling 3 matches, Matt Riddle wrestling 3 matches. Then you had Sheamus and The Miz Sheamus and John Morrison wrestling 2 matches. And so it's a lot of the same people taking up a lot of the show. And I'm assuming there's a reason for it. One thing it looks like, do you guys remember last year when they created that edict that there will be no wrestling during commercial breaks? And
I thought about that when they kept restarting the match. I was like, are we doing that again?
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. That's what they were doing last year. They just keep restarting the matches or turning into a 2 out of 3 falls. And that's kind of what it felt like tonight, because none of the matches went through a commercial break.
Yeah, that's I remembered that, and that's what I was wondering. I didn't realize they started that again.
Yeah. So this match was okay, but I'll tell you what followed it though. And for as much as we crap on Retribution, I thought Slapjack versus Xavier Woods was actually a really, really good match tonight.
The problem is that's just the sentence of you just saying it gives me the skeevies. But yes, technically, as far as a wrestling execution goes, yes. But again, I'll remind you, there's a wrestler with the name Slapjack. Good times.
Well, Let me ask you this, Issa. Are you excited to see? I guess the next logical step is Xavier versus Ali. Or, are you excited to see Ali wrestle? He's cutting his amazing promos on social media and on a Raw Talk. It feels like he's not doing a lot on the air.
I'm excited for Ali and Kofi. I think that story needs to be told, and I get that Kofi's injured, so we're going to play around until we get to it. I just hope that we get to it and they don't drop it and we forget about it because we're building to WrestleMania. That being said, as soon as that feud started, I figured that Xavier Woods is going to fight everybody at least 6 times for the next 8 weeks, and, that's how it's going to go.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But, to your point, Issa, I think the logical sense would be to have Ali kill Xavier, and then Kofi comes back, and then that's your feud.
Yes, I hope so. I hope that's where it goes.
Matt Slapjack, is he your favorite member of Retribution?
None of them are, although technically Ali, I suppose. But no.
Yeah, Ali and Mia Yim, by far. Let's see, what do we got in the super chats here, Raj?
Let's see here. Our good friend Jax Callan saying, "Hey Raj, Glenn, Matt. Anyways, Isa, Cobra Kai fan. Thanks. Ooh, and Raw was toodles." So I think he's asking if you're a Cobra Kai fan.
I haven't gotten to watch it yet, but I heard good things about it, so I'll get to it.
Peter Vahi saying, "Will the Undertaker be in a match at WrestleMania to retire with a live crowd? I feel they should hit the reset button from last year's Mania."
No.
What do you think, Matt? Would that be a good idea?
I don't know. We all said it when it happened, right? The only thing was missing was the live crowd. I still think one day they will do something of some sort with that. There's no way that Undertaker is gone and away forever and not going to have that moment in front of a live crowd.
You have a Hall of Fame induction still. You can induct him into the Hall of Fame with a nice crowd there and let him have his standing ovation. He doesn't need to wrestle again. I thought the Boneyard match was a perfect sign-off for him.
Yeah, and then the Hall of Fame, like with Warrior, that you still appear at WrestleMania. They introduce all the legends, and then do a promo the next night on Raw, like Warrior.
But the question is, will the Undertaker? Meaning, will WWE? That's the question.
Oh.
So it's not what we think. The question is, does WWE have the discipline to not? Let's be very clear. Vince McMahon would dig up Hulk Hogan 25 times to Sunday after he passes away if it means he can make money off of Hulkamania. Undertaker's not too far off that either, by the way. That's what Vince will do. He will find a way to make as much money off that talent as possible, and there's still another round of money to make off of Undertaker Live. You mark my words.
Yeah, I don't think.
Doesn't mean we want to see it. Doesn't mean I want to see it.
Right. I don't think they do it just because they just did his farewell at Survivor Series. It's just so soon that it seems like it'd be really going back way too quickly.
Hey, Motley Crue's already getting back together.
They are too. A couple more super chats. Leonza Duncan say, "This might be a surprise, but I actually miss you, Raj." Well, thank you, Leonza. Appreciate that. Justin Lopez asking if Keith Lee is okay. He's been off TV for 2 weeks now. You can kind of assume.
Yeah.
Who knows? No one knows. Brett Murphy with $5 super chat saying, if you want a really classic instant replay, it's definitely Edge's fiery promo, not this stupid Riddle entrance.
No.
And, by the way, I said greater than Alfred slightly.
Oh, wow.
I will let Alfred know.
We're ranking hosts now?
I guess so. And finally, Chris Pantaleo saying, sucks that WWE is making billions. No incentive to improve the product. And we will get to that. The network will move into Peacock, and at least for the U.S. So they are going to be making more money than ever with that deal. Over $200 million a year.
Happy for the talents, but not happy for them being pushed to actually continue to try to improve the product.
Right. Because before, they needed you to subscribe and get subscribers. Now it doesn't matter. They don't care if you're subscribing to Peacock or not. Their money is set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of crazy. That news today, I think it's been speculated about for a while, but finally happened. So Xavier Woods won this match, stared down Ali after, and yes. It is what it is. Ali versus Kofi, definitely more build there. Tonight we found out Matt Riddle is going to face the Hurt Business in a gauntlet match. Let's talk about the Hurt Business in this promo they did tonight with all of them in the ring together. Matt, what did you think of this?
Yeah. I don't like saying anything negative about them at all because I love the group.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Do you feel anything positive that's happened, I'd say in the last month and a half with the Hurt Business feels 3 months late? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to say that right, I guess.
I know what you mean. Like, they should have won the tag titles 3 months ago.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with that. I don't like that there's this tension between them already either. Like,
yeah.
That sucks, by the way. Yeah, you're right. That's frustrating as hell.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, they've been together. Like, Cedric's been in the group for what, like 4 or 5 months, maybe?
4 or 5 months, maybe? Yeah.
Really that long?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to tell, in this COVID era, but it feels like it's been a little bit.
Yeah. Tonight, what you could notice, in addition to the people wrestling in multiple matches, we had this format where they come out and did this promo, and then they had their match later in the evening. Alexa came out, did her promo, then her match later in the evening. Normally, they space these things out to draw out the storyline longer. Tonight, to draw the episode out, and I think it felt a little forced. All this stuff, even with R-Truth, and we'll talk about that. Then we had Sheamus versus John Morrison. This was probably a better match than it sounds like on paper. It's just the way that they booked these guys. I mean, I don't know, Matt, were you captivated by this? Did this hold your attention? Then were you shocked when it was going to be a 2-on-1 handicap, the Miz and Morrison versus Sheamus? So Sheamus gets the solo win, but Miz and Morrison get the handicap win. I mean, was this engaging to you?
No, and how do I say this? Since Morrison has come back, I don't know how you guys looked at it, and I'm taking him being, a friend, a guy that came up when I came up. I'm taking that completely out of the equation. I'm not being a homer here, so don't say that to me. But with that said, I thought when Morrison was coming to WWE, they would do him right. I thought they'd do him right finally. Like he did a great job with Impact. He's shown flourishes that he can carry segments and shows on his own if you do the right thing with him. And this is what they're doing with him. Like he's always in these type of handicap match situations or segments where he's just not the main event type of book talent that I thought WWE would treat him like when he came back to WWE this go around. It's frustrating for me to watch.
What do you think, Issa?
It's frustrating for me as well. I thought they were going to do a lot more with him, and it's just such a joke. You can't even take him seriously anymore. And that being said, I did feel like this match was a big showcase for Sheamus. I think that Sheamus doesn't get the credit that he deserves. He is so good, and people just don't put him up there. And if you're showcasing him like that, you never know. Maybe he'll feud with Drew in the future. I don't know, but he looked good tonight. So,
yeah.
That's a good point. He is underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like these guys can go out there and they're clearly talented, right? I mean, no one's disputing that. It's just with the storyline, like with Sheamus, I don't feel like they've got any organic heat or build up or anything that had me.
They had the build up. They've got so they've got this backstory between Sheamus and Drew. Yes, to a degree you do. But again, what I always tell you guys, what you then need to do for me, WWE, is you need to come inside my brain and you need to remove the last 3 to 4 years of how you've booked Sheamus.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that? That handicap match ain't going to help me.
Oh, the Men in Black. They have that little red thingy and they can flash you with it.
Yeah, I need that. I need that for them. Same with Lucha House Party. I need it for them too.
Now, him and Dolph Ziggler is in the same boat where they've just booked you a certain way for so long that back in the day you would need to go to WCW or something to kind of get refreshed. Whereas now you can't really do that, so it's hard to re-energize a character.
Yeah, but here's
it's so good. Like Lisa says though, if you watch Sheamus, tell me what he's missing. His promos are good. His in-ring work is good. He's 6'6", pretty friggin' jacked. He looks like he can kick your ass in a real fight, right? Mm-hmm. So it sucks that they treated him a certain way and other talents as well, not just him, for X amount of years. And it's tough to get them re-energized, like you said.
Yeah.
He's missing a good creative story to him. And Sheamus have gone away for a while, a few times due to injury, and you just missed on the opportunity on when you brought him back, bring him back strong. There are ways that they can rebuild people. They do it with those gauntlet matches. They just literally did it with Shinsuke kind of a few weeks ago. You just need to give him a performance like that.
Yeah. One, they just brought him back with dock worker Sheamus, who was feuding with Jeff Hardy and doing bar fights. And,
Oh my God.
I mean, so this is like back to square one. Same thing with Miz and Morrison. This is the type of matches that the Miz and Sheamus were having in mid-card mediocrity 2 years ago. You know,
Fair.
Yeah.
Although Miz has a Money in the Bank briefcase, so.
Yeah. The Undertaker, he recently made some comments about the stars today being soft. Got a swift rebuttal from Drew McIntyre. Taker, saying what a lot of the old timers saying about this generation as opposed to the previous generation, that the guys just aren't tough guys. They played video games in the back. Matt, I'll throw it to you first. What were your, did you get to see what he said?
Yeah, I did. And oh man, it's tough. That's a tough one because the video game started when I was wrestling. I would say right around TNA-ish. It's for me time in my career at WWE. When I was at WWE till 2005, that crap didn't happen. Guys were not playing video games back there. I would say right around 2007-ish, 2008, that was a big deal. And that's when I noticed the changing of the guard, so to speak, with what guys and gals are doing with the downtime in between matches and whatnot. But like when I was at WWE, the first go around, you were front and center in front of that monitor. You watched every match, whether you were on the show or not. You went out with the guys and girls after the show. If you were lucky enough to have an elder statesman, like let's say an Undertaker, locker room leader like that, you're sitting out there with them. Even if you're somebody that didn't drink, at least you'd go out and get something to eat with the guys and girls and try to pick that talent's brain and really, try to learn from them. Nowadays, I don't know why he thinks it's soft that they don't do that. I'd argue they're putting more years back on their career, their life, and whatnot by doing the video game route, right?
Yeah.
But so it's a tough one because I think I came in like right in between as that transition was happening. But I see both sides of it, I suppose. But the part of the business in which they try to weed you out, or AKA weed out the weak, I never bought that crap to begin with. I don't think it shows whether you're tough or not, because you go out and party and drink and get shit faced and then come to the show the next morning hungover, and if you can do it, then yeah, you're tough. No,
Right.
I don't see that's how it gets a gauge of toughness. To me, the gauge of toughness always was, and this wasn't something you can do back then, by the way, which was if you think you're tough, there's the parking lot. Let's go out there. Let's throw hands. Whoever wins is tougher. End of story. But they didn't even do that then either. So it's yeah.
Yeah, I guess my thing with it would be, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's better that they're playing video games as opposed to getting shit faced and getting in trouble.
Having dudes banging on your hotel room door at 4 a.m. because you're the new guy or girl on the roster and you're being put through initiation. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, stabbing each other with scissors at a hotel.
Yeah, maybe it's a bad thing that nobody on the roster has actually killed a man before. Like, they're softer, or it's in a more evolved time.
But at the same time, the other part of his comments is wrestling is a scripted sport. It's a scripted combat sport. And how many guys feel like they'd be the toughest guy in the room,
so
going out?
That has something to do with, I agree with that part of it. And I'm not saying, it's not just Undertaker's comment I'm speaking on there. There's a lot of wrestlers that speak to what he's saying. The truth part, in my opinion, with that is what you just said, Raj. Do they pass that look test when you see a talent walking down the aisle? Does that look like somebody, like I used to like talents that teach their own that I'd be scared of in a dark alley, right? Or somebody that looks like they can kick your ass, like I always say.
Like
Drew looks like somebody who can kick your ass. Brock looks like somebody who can kick your ass. There are talents they have. But then there's others that I'm like, come on, like, just, no.
Yeah. But it's also how they're portrayed. I mean, aside from Brock, is anyone legit portrayed as a 24/7
the
badass?
Business has evolved. The business has changed. No, yeah, Roman's a good one. But like the business is, whether you want to say it's evolved or it's changed, I do think it's evolved in this manner because UFC has proved this. You don't have to be 7 foot 500 pounds to be a true badass that can kick someone's ass in real fight, right? We've seen people of all different shapes and sizes that can get it done in the octagon, for example. George St. Pierre, I dwarf him, right? I'd have a lot of trouble with George St. Pierre in a real fight, I'd like to think.
Conor
right?
McGregor.
So, you Conor McGregor, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I think Daniel Bryan's, the CM Punk's ushered into that new era of the size didn't really matter. It's the character that matters.
Yeah.
Size of the character.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Real quick, a couple of super chats. Terry Allen Jr. is asking Isa when you became a wrestling fan.
I became a wrestling fan back in the 90s, but I grew up in Puerto Rico, so I'm watching Lucha Libre in Puerto Rico, Carlitos Colon, Invader, that kind of stuff. I wasn't watching WWF. We didn't have cable. So I started watching wrestling on a constant basis more recently, so more of 2014.
Is that, we're in Puerto Rico, Bayamon, or where did you, San Juan?
I was born in Bayamon. I grew up in Vega Baja, and then I went to school in San Juan. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear of the Blue Dolphin Hotel by any chance in San Juan or no?
Yes.
That's where they always put me up when I stayed there. I thought it was
that's where they put all the American wrestlers at.
Right?
Yeah.
I loved it there. I loved it.
Is it really
It's
nice?
a nice place. Yeah.
Chris Pantaleo saying it could be like the comics. The WWE universe ends with Bray Wyatt pushing a button, and the next week everything resets, even the booking characters.
Ooh.
Not against him. Yeah.
And then, it's Z saying, fun fact, props to Edge for being the only person to be in the Rumble match in the 90s, the knots, the 10s, and the 20s.
Wow.
That's a fun fact.
That is. I didn't realize that. And Monopoly Man saying, Matt, how was it giving Zack Ryder his debut match? Hi, everyone.
We had no idea that was Zack Ryder. We had no idea that was going to be somebody who went on to have a pretty darn good career. It was fun. He actually I met him that night. I had just recently got married. I was terrified I was going to lose my wedding ring. And I asked him to hold it for me in the back during our match in his suitcase. And we had a good friendship ever since that day. So I cheered him on throughout his career. But after that match, went backstage, told John Laurinaitis, he's very, very good. He's young, but he's very good. At least get him down to OVW if you could. And me and two others really put in good words for him, and he ended up getting signed later on.
Nice. So after that tonight, well, we're going to talk about that in a second, actually, because I actually liked this backstage segment. I thought this was let's talk about it now. Fine. Lacey Evans backstage with Ric Flair, asking her for some advice. Charlotte shows up, and then Lacey just starts getting into it with Charlotte right there, and Ric's just hanging out and watching. Not saying anything. Nothing.
What do you guys think of this?
I thought this was the best segment that they've done, because this whole storyline has made no sense since the beginning. No one believes that Rick would turn on his daughter. So at least today they try to explain it a little bit. Like Charlotte was saying, how he wasn't there when they were kids, and she's still looking out for him. And Rick is saying, you're not, I still want to be out here. I want to be I want to be Ric Flair on TV. And her saying, you're basically looking pathetic, saying, every time you're doing it, you're not looking like a legend. You're looking more and more old. And I just thought it felt more real than what we'd been given so far. Yeah,
but Lacey, though, beating up his daughter, and Rick's just hanging out.
Well, he did go to stop her, right? And then she kind of pulled him away and took him apart, because he was originally trying to break it up. I mean, look, it doesn't make sense to begin with. You really have to suspend disbelief to think that Rick is turning on Charlotte.
Real quick, Issa, what do you think of this? Because you watch this show all the time, right? I love Lacey. I want her in a real storyline with some meat on the bones finally. Not this tag team crap that they stick her in. She's a main event, in my opinion, main event caliber talent. I want to see her get booked in something major that gets more eyeballs on it finally. And I feel like this is that, but is this good? What do you think?
In my opinion, I feel like that conversation that happened between Charlotte and Flair tonight could have happened without having to involve Lacey in this storyline. I wish that they would book Lacey as the badass former Marine that she is. Like, just let her come out and stop this lady BS and be the badass woman that you are, because she looks the part. She is big, she's muscular, she's beautiful. You don't have to put her in all these shenanigans. It's stupid.
Great word, shenanigans, and it's a shoot. She's a legit badass. How hard is this to do?
Right.
I don't get it.
It's weird. So tonight's show is brought to you by the Stereo app, our new official sponsor. Now, some of you joined us last Monday on the after show, as it were, on Stereo with Matt Morgan and myself. For those that don't know, Stereo is a free live broadcast social platform that enables people to have real conversations in real time. The app allows podcast creators and hosts to build a more intimate relationship with their fan base by engaging with them in direct conversations. Listeners can record a question, send it in, and as you heard last week, we played a lot of voice messages during the show, including some from Issa, and now boom, here she is on the podcast. Matt, what did you think of this and getting this chance to interact with the audience live after the podcast last week?
Awesome, because a lot of them are long-time watchers and viewers of this show or followers of us on Twitter, for that matter. And you have this build-up in your head of what you think a lot of these people sound like. And then you could see my reaction, actually, on the actual podcast last week. I was blown away by some of their voices, not to sound weird, but I just didn't think like some of these, what I had in my head is what a lot of them really truly sound like, right? That was pretty cool. But just in general, I like the ability to be able to go back and forth with fans a little bit, and for again, just actually physically hear them ask the questions or the comment and whatnot. It's cool because we're all, not to sound like a cornball, but we're all friends on here, I think.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's just something else to be able to talk, longer about different things and things that maybe are outside of pro wrestling as well, which we're passionate about.
No, absolutely. And last week was awesome. We had over 100 of you show up to tune in live. We had hundreds of people listen to it after the fact, gave us such great feedback. Matt and I are going to keep doing this Mondays after the Wrestling Inc. podcast. And we're excited to offer you this new way to interact with us. You can join us every Monday after we finish here. Usually it'll be around 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 a.m. Eastern. We're going to do a live show on the Stereo app, the after show, as it were. You can download the free Stereo app, and you can go to this link that I have up here, bit.ly/aftershow125. That's for today, January 25th. And you'll be able to tune in, RSVP. You can connect with us whenever we're live. In fact, you can also go and follow Matt and I on the platform. I'm at stereo.com/Glenn Rubenstein. He's at stereo.com/Matt Morgan. Follow us there. You'll get notifications whenever we go live. So Issa and I did watch along for part of SmackDown on Friday, kick the tires a little bit more on the app. Who knows what other surprises we'll have in store. So be sure tonight to join us for the after show, as it were. And again, the easiest way to do that is go to bit.ly/aftershow125 tonight, and we'll see you on Stereo after we wrap up here. We thank Stereo for sponsoring the Wrestling Inc. podcast. So AJ Styles versus R-Truth tonight. R-Truth got some offense in, but correct me if I'm wrong, AJ's had a bunch of matches now where the condition was you beat AJ, you're in the Royal Rumble. Nobody's beaten AJ.
Why would they?
I know, but it just makes it a little tough, though, to,
Yeah, you don't want Drew Gulak beating AJ Styles, no offense.
I mean, you don't. Matt and I would be down with that, I'm sure.
AJ's too big of a star. Like, having Drew Gulak beating R-Truth, yeah, that's fine. But AJ's, he's someone you can put in the main event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
This was what it was.
Battle of former NWA World Heavyweight Champions.
Oh, there you go.
A little trivia. And Adam Pearce, who put the match together, also former NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
So, Matt, they spoiled it tonight. We were talking about this, Raj, before, how when a TV show does the previously on or gives you a flashback to something that happened, you can see where they're going. And showing us basically all of Randy Orton's promo last week with his burnt face and Alexa watching it really kind of telegraphed that Randy Orton was going to show up in that match at the end of the show.
Definitely. And like I said, sometimes that's okay when there's predictability in wrestling. Sometimes, but this isn't one of them, because there was no surprise, no element of surprise with this, and they did tip their hand, but I think they purposely tipped their hand with it as well, to be fair to them. But as a fan, meh.
Yeah, it takes away from, because last week Alexa pinned Asuka. So before that promo, you're kind of wondering what are they gonna do tonight. There was a possibility in my brain that Alexa could walk away champion, and then I saw that and I'm like, yeah, Randy's gonna interfere. So it kind of like took that away from me.
Yeah.
As much as I hate this, the Fiend storyline with Orton, I do think Alexa is probably the hottest female character they have right now. So I could kind of see her winning the Royal Rumble.
I'd be cool with that. But
I mean, yeah, I mean,
right?
Who else?
Well, I'd like to see one of the younger talents get it for sure.
Yeah,
but
I felt that she should just fight Asuka for the title at the Rumble. I thought that's what they will be doing, not tonight, just because she won over her last week.
And that would be better, to be fair. That's a great point. He said that's a great point, because you want to save that winner of the Rumble as someone you're trying to now build and you're trying to create a star with finally. What the argument there is, she's already made. She's ready right now to have that championship match and be taken seriously as a potential winner. Does she really need to win the Rumble to do so? Right? No. Let's get a younger talent. Again, we always go to Bianca as the one. There's somebody like that, right?
Maria.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many. There's so many. Good Lord. That's what's great about that. I'm looking forward more to that than I am the guys. I swear to God.
And this year they'll be actually wrestling in front of fans at WrestleMania. So you want to make sure it's someone that would be over in front of an actual crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Fair point.
Yeah. So Matt Riddle ran the gauntlet tonight, defeating the Hurt Business, or winning this match, and he's going to get a number one contender. He's the new number one contender to go against Bobby Lashley.
I mean, the way that Lashley destroyed him last time, I don't know.
This is what I mean. This is what happens with the 50-50 booking problem right here. We've already seen it. So unless Matt, they have plans for Matt Riddle to beat him for that championship, which very well could be. Who knows what they have planned for Matt? I don't know. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, they protected Lashley so much that I think it'd be a mistake to lose it to Riddle, just with how Riddle's been booked, and Lashley's just destroyed him almost every week. So
yeah.
Sorry.
No, I agree. I mean, I don't feel. I mean, do any of you feel like you're on board with the Matt Riddle push?
No, but I'm on board with pushing the mid-card titles to be important again. They all just feel so blah right now. Like, there's nothing going on. I think the Intercontinental title is doing well in SmackDown right now with Big E and Sami Zayn and everything that's going on over there. But the U.S. title, I keep on forgetting who's holding it, and that's bad.
Yeah, same.
Which sucks, because they have it on a dominant talent, a big, strong, badass that would be very tough to beat. But that you just, the test for all these titles is always, can you remember who has it? And if you don't remember who has it, then obviously the job has not been done.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I also think with Lashley, he just hasn't had a strong storyline yet for that U.S. title. Like,
you didn't like the wedding title beforehand? No.
Yeah, with Sami Zayn and his sisters.
Right. Yeah. So they need some. And we'll get to Edge, but they need someone who really wants that U.S. title, and Lashley just can't be beat. And I think that you have something there. The stuff with Riddle is just annoying.
Well, that's the contrast, right? So we get the pre-recorded promo from Edge tonight, announcing he's going to be back at the Rumble. And you look at his star power, which is still off the charts, right? And not like Goldberg. Like, Edge really earns it. Goldberg, they think Goldberg can just show up, stare somebody down, scowl, and that's all we need. But Edge is cutting top flight promos. His ring work against Randy was really good. I mean, Edge is earning it coming back, and you compare that to someone like Matt Riddle. I mean, there's just no comparison.
No, there's not.
No, but Riddle is, you can tell Edge had input into his promo, whereas Riddle and a lot of these other guys, they have to, do what they're given. And Goldberg
That's tough. And that's tough, to be fair, because but they've got to take this chance. Some of them have got to eventually just say, enough. I'm going to take this risk. like Rock did when firing back on Triple H finally because he got sick of being punked out by Triple H every week. You've got to eventually just let it hang. Just go out there on your own, do it, and hope that it works. And if it doesn't work, then you got to take it when you get in the back and you get completely yelled at for not sticking to the script, right? But some of these talents have got to take the chance and go out there and try to deliver a realistic promo from their own heart. And then if it gets over, come back and hopefully they let you do it further.
Yeah, but for the record, Edge was sitting in the exact same spot last time we saw him, so I wonder if he's been sitting there for months trying to put this promo together, because he was literally in the exact same spot as the last time we saw him. But listen, it was so refreshing. Yeah, it was so refreshing to see a fresh, good promo being cut on Raw. That's when I'm not pro Legends coming back because I want the new guys to get over, but then you see one of them do something like that and you don't see today's talent do that and you're like, well, that's why they need these guys to come back to teach them.
You know what, Matt, you'll get this reference. Matt Riddle, so they're writing him like he's Jeff Spicoli or like he's like Bill and Ted. They need to almost have him be more like Kelly Leak from the Bad News Bears, who's a badass, who doesn't need to talk, who knows he's good, who's cocky, and like rides his moped around the ring and just can't be bothered. He'll just go out there and win the match, and then he's out of there. He's going to be surfing or riding a dirt bike or picking up on ladies,
Great something else.
Great reference.
Because right now he's just irritating. Eddie Omeng saying, do you think Balor should get called back up? God, no. I mean, well, maybe on SmackDown.
Demon only.
We saw how he was used when he was there. I don't know. I think he's way more effective on NXT.
Yeah. Agreed.
Wolfbane saying Issa is not only knowledgeable but beautiful. Make her a regular and ban the puppet hater, who I'm not sure who the puppet hater
Who hates the puppets?
Yeah, okay. Just Snake saying, what are your thoughts on Edge or Rollins winning the Royal Rumble facing Reigns at WrestleMania? Would be a huge pop with either man. I would love to see Edge and Roman. I think that's a cool storyline. Yeah. After that promo that Edge delivered tonight, like really needing that title, and Roman just being the cocky heel that can't be beat. I think that's a super intriguing storyline.
And seeing what Edge has been able to, he's improved, which is crazy to me. But he's improved on his promos. Since coming back, right? So he could put some real depth into a storyline with Roman, and Roman's coming into his own. Obviously, he's hitting home runs with his promos lately. Yeah. The storyline buildup for that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think it'd be way better than Edge and Drew McIntyre if Edge were to win. I think it's Roman versus Edge is way more interesting.
I think that as well, but he really focused on making it sound like he wants the WWE Championship because that's the championship that he had back when he had to force retire. So I didn't like that he specifically used those words because he kind of hinted at going after Drew, where I don't want that. I want him to go after Roman. So hopefully he just doesn't mention that anymore, but he did really bring that up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and Edge's promos, they remind me of how Foley's used to be, where he starts with something, then kind of takes you on a little ride, and then comes back to it, and it's just really good stuff. I thought this was the best thing on the show.
It was really good. And this main event, what'd you guys think of this? So Alexa Bliss versus Asuka. We saw Alexa beat Asuka last week. They were out there. They were having a pretty regular match. At one point, a rocking horse showed up. Alexa had like a breakdown in the corner, but then she snapped, and then she was no-selling all of Asuka's offense. It looked like Alexa was going to win the title here, but then Randy Orton shows up from behind and RKOs her before we went off the air. But Issa, to you first this time. What do you think about this progression and how they're developing Alexa's character and this split personality idea?
I love what they're doing with Alexa Bliss right now. I'm a big fan of the movie The Exorcist. I think she's possessed, and I think we need a priest and some holy water. But in all seriousness, she is the most interesting thing going on Monday Night Raw right now, and she ate that RKO beautifully.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, they're well said. The only problem I had with this at all is, again, I'm all about the special magic powers, right? I'm all for it. I love it. And she's doing a good job with it. I just don't think she should be able to eat an RKO without immediately sitting up Undertaker style. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Raj?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know what I feel about this stuff.
Oh, that's right. You don't like this angle at all.
No, and with her changing the gear and the lights going out, and she's in a completely different outfit, it reminds me of, like, are you ever really bored and you're on Netflix and you see these like horror movies and you've never heard of it? It's
Right.
like, and some
Sometimes
actor that
they're
was
good. Sometimes they're good.
Yeah.
sometimes it's like Tom Berenger, like the guys you didn't know were still in movies. So you're like, all right, I'll try it. And it's just super corny, super cheesy. That's what this reminds me of.
But it's but at least it's creative. They're you know what I mean, and it breaks the monotony of the rest of the just. If this is just a boring show from top to bottom, it stays right. I don't even want to say it stays in the middle as far as pitch goes. It's like kind of lower than medium, I would say, and it just stays there the whole show. And then with her and Bray, you have these other infusions of different creativity to it. It does make you think a little bit. And I don't know. I personally like how they're using her. I think she's doing a phenomenal job with it. Anybody else you gave this to, it would look that way, in my opinion. It would look low budget. It would look shitty. It wouldn't work. She's made this work.
Yeah, and it's not their performances. I think they're all playing their roles great. It's the magic and the special effects.
Oh man, come on! Am
so
I the
bad.
only Mark that likes the? I fall easy for the magic. I admit it. I do, but I like it. I do.
But you know what? Speaking of that, the one thing I didn't like is that Asuka saw this all play out last week. So she should have been a little more prepared tonight. And I didn't like her acting all like, oh my God, again, when she's just doing the same thing she did to you last week. So where were you at, sis? Did you not do your homework? Because I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Don't even sign the contract. She's got special powers. Go get Undertaker in your corner or something. Somebody can fight back.
Bring back the green mist, something.
Yeah.
Actually,
for
the championship match, they should have Alexa no sell the green mist. If she's going to go over Asuka, that would be Asuka really reaching for like everything, and Alexa no selling that would be a great way to have the win happen.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. It depends how they play it, how they execute it. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I admit it openly. I'm a huge mark for the characters that have these type of powers.
Yeah.
I blanket throw it out there. I fall easy for it. I like it.
Yeah.
Wrestling enthusiast is saying Edge beats Roman and then brings back the big gold belt. I love the big gold belt, but
do you know how big that would look on today's talents? By the way, except for Drew.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, like AJ's my boy, but that thing would be covering from here to damn halfway down his legs.
That is true.
So all in all, Raj, to you first. What did you think of Raw tonight? What grade would you give it?
I thought it was pretty bad.
Wow.
I like the Edge promo. Then that was really the only thing that really stood out. There was a couple of good matches. The Sheamus John Morrison match was really good. I'd give it a 6, maybe a 5.
Matt?
The whole chat room could predict my grade, but I'm going to throw you guys off and give it a 6.5.
Isa?
I give it a 5. I like Edge promo. I liked Randy Orton at the end, and I loved AJ Styles' hair. A 5.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, I think we were probably 5 or 6 territory tonight for a change, down from the usual 7 that Raw often is. But hey, tonight's show was not the biggest news going on in the world of professional wrestling or the WWE. Raj, what happened today?
Yeah, so it was announced that Peacock, the WWE Network for U.S. subscribers, will be moving to Peacock. And so I think one thing to be clear is that the WWE Network is still going to be there for international subscribers. So if you live outside of the U.S., you're not affected really by this. But in the U.S., all the customers are going to be transferred to Peacock. And Peacock, and it's not an additional price. It's baked in the Peacock fee. So Peacock has a $4.99 level where you have ads, and then a $9.99 level. And that's without ads. I think they have a free one too, but that's kind of like the network freeze where you don't get you wouldn't be able to get any of the WWE stuff.
Dummy this down even more, Raj. So I have the WWE Network right now, currently, for example.
Yeah.
Will I be able to just log on and watch it like I normally do and pay my whatever $9.99 per month?
So I think what they're going to do is they're going to give you the option to roll over your network account to Peacock. Or if you already have a Peacock account, you would just cancel your network account. So yeah, I think those would be the two options. You just cancel it if you already have a Peacock account, or it rolls over.
Will it be like the same setup, like when I go on the main splash page or the main menu, and I could choose all the different shows that are being, advertised or go in the vault and all that other stuff, you think?
So I don't think everything's going to be up there right now. But I do think all their major stuff will be up there. So I would think like the pay-per-views would be the first to be up, Raw, NXT, SmackDown. And then maybe some of the stuff like Mid-South and stuff like that probably won't be, is my guess. But yeah, I mean, for fans,
setup. Yeah, I think he's gonna have to log into Peacock and then click WWE, and then from there you will choose what you think. There's not gonna be an app anymore.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the Peacock app. So it'd be like if it was in Netflix, it'd be another menu item.
Kind of. So I have Peacock. I use it to watch the Saved by the Bell reboot and a few other things. And they have channels in Peacock. So they have like comedy, sports, throwback, news, different things. So I think there's going to be a WWE channel. And when you go there, there's going to be a live feed, probably similar to how the network is, or most definitely how the network is currently. But then underneath, it's going to be the same sort of menu where you scroll through different series. It's going to actually integrate very well.
Yeah.
The challenge is going to be Peacock is currently not available on the Amazon Fire.
So they said they are working on that, and it should be soon. So it sounds like they plan on having it available by the time this rollout happens.
Can I ask a stupid question? Is there any heat with them being on Fox with SmackDown?
Well, that's where it gets interesting, because now Fox, they're going to be promoting pay-per-views that are going to be on the Peacock, the Peacock app, and they have their own,
what about showing footage from SmackDown that's a Fox Network show on an NBC affiliated, thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to be interesting to see, because old episodes of SmackDown from Fox. Now you got Fox shows on Peacock on their competitor. So, but everything right now, it's moving to streaming. You're seeing these big streaming wars, and that's where the money is right now. And we last week they dropped NBC Sports Network, and they're going to be moving a lot of that stuff to USA. NXT might have to move off of Wednesday nights.
I think that's a good idea, by the way.
Yeah, I know, I agree. But assuming they re-sign their hockey deal, then Wednesday nights would most likely be for hockey, and so NXT would need a different night.
What's crazy to me, though, is just the time that this is happening in, where, no offense, I want all the guys and girls to make as much money as humanly possible, and these deals get these guys and girls paid. And bottom of the, opening match talent is getting paid in their set. Because of these deals, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But like, as far as the show goes and like how good it is, and as far as ratings go, to see them getting this kind of big money, I just go, wow, what would these networks do if you had like that Attitude Era type of shows that were so red hot, and seeing what it would look like then, if you know what I mean, if you're able to somehow morph that into today, like, good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, you might get a lot of people sampling out old WWE content that grew up in that era. Look, the nostalgia is huge. You were just saying, Glenn, the Saved by the Bell reboot. So, they could really market that stuff on there, and even like the generation before with Saturday Night's Main Event, which used to be on NBC, stuff like that. So, so it was reported that they're getting basically $1 billion over 5 years. So and they're saying it's over $200 million a year. In 2019, they made $185 million basically off of the network and pay-per-views, and that's including U.S. and international, plus the few people that still do buy pay-per-views. So now they're going to still be making those international subscriptions, but now also they're going to be making a lot more. So they're just making a ton more money with this deal, and it's going to be cheaper for a lot of fans too.
More reason to do a union.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if the content, the quality changes. Like, will they feel the need to really do big events and big matches for these events, and bring back guys like Brock who have a high price tag, because they're not making any money by adding subscriptions onto Peacock, as far as we know. So.
I can't wait for all the fans to tweet cancel Peacock when their favorites don't win.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Peacock has been. I mean, it's needed something big like this. Even with getting the rights to The Office, it's still not gaining ground against Disney Plus or Netflix. So
And HBO Max. Well, they have 26 million subscribers
but
so
that's
far.
because every Comcast subscriber gets it for free.
Right. Yeah, and I have it for free. But so WWE, it adds 1 million to that, more or less. And I don't know if they're going to do all the old inactive accounts as well, and try to get them to go over.
All those fake emails you have, Raj.
Right, yeah, my WWE Network burner accounts. So, so we'll see. I mean, overall, it's, I know when everything went to the network, people thought like WrestleMania, they weren't going to do the big elaborate stages anymore, and they still did. So, we'll see.
Very cool. So I think that's about it for tonight. Matt and I have an after show to do. Issa, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You can find Issa at NYC Demon Diva on Twitter. This was fantastic. We have to have you on more often. Raj Giri, good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Say hi to the wife and kids.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah. So Matt Morgan and I now are going to go over to Stereo. Again, Stereo has sponsored this episode of the Wrestling Inc. podcast, and Stereo is an app where users can engage with the platform to listen in, seek out topics, and join conversations about issues and ideas that interest them. Now, in addition to the after show, as it were, there are a wide range of conversation topics on Stereo: comedy, pop culture, lifestyle, sports, etc. Lots of your favorite podcasters are doing shows on Stereo now. Now, Stereo can be downloaded for free by both Apple and Android users, and once you download the app, you can create an avatar and a profile. Matt and I spent a good 15 minutes getting ones that look like us, and you can do the same. And the coolest thing about Stereo is that users can submit audio messages to the hosts of the conversations or join the conversations in real time. So the after show, as it were, will be having a live audience with an interactive episode on Stereo. We're going to talk about things unrelated to wrestling. Matt's going to field your questions. He's going to get real and raw. You're going to hear me swear a lot because apparently that's what people commented I did the most last week on Stereo, because it's a little more covert for the real fans. And we're going to be doing a Q&A. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. So join us now starting at 9:30 Pacific on Stereo. So here's what we want you to do. Follow Matt Morgan and I. You can follow Matt at stereo.com/Matt Morgan. You can follow me at stereo.com/Glenn Rubenstein. And if you want to go right to the after show, it's bit.ly/aftershow125. We thank Stereo for sponsoring the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Again, those three links to keep in mind are stereo.com/Matt Morgan, stereo.com/Glenn Rubenstein, and bit.ly/aftershow125. And we'll catch you on Stereo starting in a few minutes. And we'll be back here Wednesday night on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care, everyone.